Hi there, CJ Jenkins from Century 21 Cornerstone Realty, and I have a treat for you today. We are here in Grass Valley, California. We're just 12 minutes up from Lake of the Pines, up Highway 49, here amongst the pine trees and the beautiful oaks, and we are at a state park. The name of the park is Empire Mines Historic State Park, and we are going to show you the park today and show you this is a great place for you to bring your family for a hike. So let's go look at the informational center or the museum that is part of this state park. Let's go check it out. Now the park was established in 1975, but Empire Mines has been here for much longer than that. The mines opened in about the 1850s, and the mines were open for about 100 years. Now today it has been a state park since 1975, and there are so many miles of trails here for you and your family to enjoy. This building right here is the museum or the visitor center, and it is open for the public. And when we have some normal patterns of time, and it's a nice journey to look at the history of the mines. Now, in this structure right here, there is actually a blackened window room that was there during the time that the mines were in existence. And this room has a model of all of the different mines and where they traveled to. And it was the glass was blackened because it was a top secret location, because it wasn't to be known where the mines traveled in case a competitor would want to know where did you drill that particular mine. Now there's at least 6 mine sites on Empire Mines itself. And when you get to go into the museum, they will show you where these 367 miles of mines were located. And what is cool about that is that some of these mines today are in the hills where we're going to be walking later, where the trails are, and some of these mines are underground in downtown Grass Valley. In fact, the Safeway here has mines underneath, and the Grass Valley Post Office has mines underneath. Now, some of these mines are filled and some of them are abandoned, and they're safely tucked away so no one can be, hurt and stuck in them or anything like that. So this would be a cool thing to see when you get to go into the museum and see where the mines are located. Now let's see if we can go into the yard here, which will show you some of the mining equipment. Now down this way, we have some beautiful gardens, and the residents of the manager of the mines will be looking at that in a little bit. But this is the working part of the mine right here. We can see some of the equipment that they used. Now, the interesting thing about Empire Mines is that the most gold that has ever come out of any mine in the state of California was mined here in Grass Valley, California at Empire Mines. Pretty amazing. In fact, they had the longest, the largest, the deepest mines of anywhere in the state. And you can see the structure here being built with some of the rock that came out of the ground here. And what was real typical is that a lot of the roofing was had a tin type roof like the one over here. That was very common in Grass Valley at the time of the mines being open. And here we have a workbench here where lots of different tools that they would have used in the late 18th century, 1860s, 1870s. We see the wagons, some of the equipment they would have used on the oxen and horses, nicely displayed. The mines were worked pretty much by actually a group of miners that were brought in from Cornwall, which is from a section of England. They had worked the coal mines in England, and the Cornish people came from England and worked the mines here. And one of the things that we have in downtown Grass Valley in some of the restaurants is we have a type of food that the Cornish men would take to the mines with them, and that was called a pasty. And a pasty was a piece of kind of like bread or pastry, and inside were potatoes and carrots and onions and a little bit of meat, and it was closed up and baked, and they could wrap them up and put them in their pocket and have a pasty with them while they were at work. Some more tin here. And we're going to go peek inside a mine right now. This is the machine shop. Imagine the noise that would have come from these big engines here and pieces of machinery that was making quite a loud noise. So let's go look at the mine, the one that we can peek at. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you can see that there are benches set up for people having a tour. They have tours here on the weekends and sometimes in the summertime in the week. Those tour dates change regularly, and this would be where a presentation would be made for visitors. You can see the tracks, the metal tracks here that brought the ore into these buildings after bringing them up from underneath the ground. This is a container here, a cast iron container that brought the ore in up out of the earth and brought it back up it's pretty heavy, for them to extract the gold. So what they used is they used mules, and mules were, they were better about being underground. Here's a picture of a mule that worked underground. They were better and more sturdy than horses. And here's the men single jacking and double jacking. Now this mine was open for 106 years, and in 106 years, 26 men lost their lives, which really wasn't that many for that amount of time that the mine was open in such a dangerous, profession anyway of being a miner. Okay, let's go on. These were the rails that took the miners down in their carts to be tucked into the earth themselves. And here's the men sitting in the carts, ready to go down into the ground. And here's an excellent picture of the mine. I believe the mine is closed right now for us to take a peek at it. And some of these carts went about 600 feet per minute. They were really moving very quickly. So let's take a peek right here, see what these gentlemen are up to. Hi there.
How are you doing?
Fine, thanks. Are you a blacksmith?
Depends on what day you're asking me.
Okay.
We're two blacksmiths.
Okay.
So welcome to the blacksmith shop.
I can smell your is that coal that you're burning?
Yeah. Yeah, we convert coal into coke, and it's coke that is actually providing the heat that we need.
Okay.
So the smell you smell is the coal getting the impurities burned out of it or cooked out of it to turn it into coke. So this blacksmith shop would have been somewhere on the property for the full 100 years of the mine, and they made whatever the mine needed to be made or repaired. And so, like I said, it was somewhere on the property, but when the mine closed, this is where it was, in this shop here.
Mm-hmm. Great.
So that's the 19th. So they were here from 1850s to the 1950s. And then when the mine closed, the mine company pulled the pumps out of the mine and let the mine flood behind them, and they sold off the pumps, and they sold off most of the equipment, whatever they could. And such as this equipment in the field next to us here, they would have sold that off.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so then in the 1970s, the Park Service bought the surface rights to the property. So California owns 150 feet down of this park.
Oh, good to know.
The mining company still owns the mineral rights, and that's Newmont Mining, the big mining company. And so that's the 1970s, and and when they bought the property, the surface rights, the building was gone. So maybe they sold this off too. So in the 1980s, the Empire Mine Park Association, which all the volunteers belong to, plus 200 or 300 other people, paid for and rebuilt this shed on the original foundation. So all this is original foundation, and the building itself was based on photos of the exterior of the place.
Mm-hmm. Looks very authentic.
And once the building was complete, the local people donated almost everything that's in here.
Oh, lovely.
The state did buy out a retiring blacksmith shop, but we don't know which is which.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
We're doing this for our real estate video of the week.
You're not selling the place, are you?
No, I'm not. I don't plan to. I run the trails here. I love it here. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we have many pieces of equipment here. We're not going to have time to look through those today because we're going to take you on the trails here in just a little bit. And I'm going to tell you what else we haven't had a chance to do today is we're going to the Bourne Cottage and the beautiful sides of Empire Mine, which has lovely gardens, lots of roses, and it's where everybody really wants to get married here at Empire Mines. There's actually a lottery to get an opportunity to get married here. Many families come here for their holiday pictures, for their senior portraits, and because it's such a lovely spot. We're in just the work zone right here, not the living zone of Empire Mine. And we're going to do that at a later date for you. So this is CJ Jenkins. I'm going to close right now until we go to our next location, which is where some of the trails are, which is the joyful part of Empire Mines. And I really want to share that with you today. So I'll see you in a little bit. Hi there, CJ Jenkins from Century 21 Cornerstone Realty. We're back again at our second section of the Empire Mine Historic State Park. And here we have my husband, Bob Jenkins. He is besides the love of my life, my running partner. And we love to run the trails here at Empire Mines. And Bob's going to tell you some more about this beautiful park.
Hello everybody. Leanne, if you want to walk over here and get this sign, we can see in the first part of today, Christine was over in the main area, which is this area right here of the Empire Mine State Park. This has the visitor center, the mines, the ruins, all of the man-made stuff. And when you cross Highway 174, which runs from Grass Valley to Colfax, you come over here into the northeast portion right here. Roughly 2/3 over on the main side and roughly 1/3 over here. And if you're wondering how much that is, the entire park is about 850 acres. So if you thought that this might be 500 acres here, then maybe this is 250 acres here. They say that there's 2 or 3 miles of trail over here in this area, which we call Gold Hill. But if you really look closely, you can see that there's all kinds of trails. I think it's much more accurate to say there's probably 6 or 7 miles of trails over here, and there's probably 12 or 13 miles of trails over on that side. So there's about 20 miles of trails when you put the two sides together. So let's take a walk into the forest here and see what we can find. I like this part better, actually, because it's quieter over here. There's fewer people. You saw the little tiny parking lot at the trailhead, and there's no horses over here, so you can really come over here and get the kind of solitude that a lot of people like when they come to the forest. So let's walk and see if we can find some of that solitude. There's an old saying you probably heard of, can't see the forest for the trees. Well, that's actually a true statement. Most people come into the forest and they see it as a collection of trees. And of course, the trees are the dominant thing because they're so big and they're so tall. But it's a mistake to consider the forest a collection of independent individual trees. The forest is a symbiotic organism. It is a single organism, the trees being one of the manifestations of the organism, but not the only one. And maybe somewhere down the line we'll talk about what the symbiotic forest is really about, but we're not going to have time today. I'm going to focus a little bit today on what's obvious here, which are the big trees, of which there are 5 major big trees here at Empire Mine, and they live in competition with each other, but they also live as allied species. And I think you're going up there to the top of a ponderosa pine, isn't that right? Ponderosa pine. There's a couple of them right in here, 2 or 3 of them here. Over here, we see a ponderosa pine, and right next to it, the other major ubiquitous tree of Empire Mine State Park, which is the incense cedar. And the incense cedar is capable of competing with the ponderosas. They're both very tall trees, and they're both very long-lived trees. A really old ponderosa, a really old incense cedar can be 500 or 600 years old. You will not find those in this park anymore because back in the 1850s and 60s when they were doing their mining operation, they were all cut down because mining is a very timber-intensive operation. The houses, the infrastructure underground, they burn wood to make coal and coke for various other kinds of activities. I'm sure Christine talked about that in the first part of the day. You see this ponderosa right here. Now these are the royalty of the forest. They're gorgeous, they're straight, it's a good timber tree, they're very, very, very tall. They're resistant to drought. They're largely resistant to forest fire. Now, I'm not talking about big crown fires, you know, with fire tornadoes and that kind of a thing. But with low, cool ground fires, ponderosas can handle those very, very well, as can the incense cedars over here. One of the ways to tell the ponderosa pine is to look at these little bundles of needles. They're called fascicles. And ponderosa pine is a 3-needle pine. So if you just pick them up off the ground and you're in this area, pretty much anything that gives you one of those is a ponderosa pine. Here's another interesting thing about them. Because this pine right here is less than 200 years old, probably 100 years old, it's still a young pine. When they get older, these big dinosaur-like plates begin to turn yellow. And if you look really closely, you can see the yellow coloring down here at the base, and it disappears as it goes up. But as the pine gets older and older, it gets yellower and yellower and yellower. So when the pioneers first came here and they looked at these forests, they saw yellow pines everywhere. These were the original old growth, and they call them yellow pines, and that's their old name. But it's hard to find them these days. One of the joys of my forest exploration in these forests, I've been in these forests for about 25 years, is to actually be able to see some of the pines starting to turn yellow, starting to mature. And it's like It's like the gray over a man's temples right there, and it's a sign of great wisdom. The other conifers that are allied to these incense cedars and these ponderosas here in the forest, there are Doug fir, there are white fir, and there are gray pines. And maybe in another edition I'll talk about gray pines, which have a very interesting story in and of themselves. We're on a little path here at Gold Hill, the northeast section. This is one of CJ's favorite walks right here. It just gets lovelier and lovelier, just like her, as we go along. And even though this is, of course, the foothills, so there's no such thing as a flat trail in the foothills, this is one of the flattest trails I know. And it's close to Lake of the Pines, very few hills, so it's not strenuous. I'm not saying it's ADA compliant, it's not, but it's still very mellow, very easy walk over here. Look at these beauties right here. Aren't they gorgeous?
One of the things that's lovely is you can smell the incense. You can smell incense as you walk on.
You can smell it right here today. It's at different times of the year. Sometimes you walk in here and the perfume almost knocks you down. It's a kind of an earthy but sweet incense smell. It's just absolutely lovely. Look over here. You have an aging ponderosa pine. You can see the yellow here and the plates on it. And an incense cedar. And you can see that the bark in the incense cedar tends to go in these long strips with these deep fissures right here. But look at the base of it. They're sharing the same root system. And I do mean they're sharing it. Not only are the roots of these two species physically touching each other, but they are connected by underground fungus. And these two trees live together. If you look up there, you wonder, are they fighting with each other or making love up there with each other? But for their entire life, they live side by side. It's like one of those married couples, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Let me find a good one here. Now this state park has, believe it or not, hundreds of different species of life here. Birds, mammals, reptiles, fungus, trees, plants of all different kinds. And one of the dominant plants in this forest is the black oak. And I'll show you the best way to identify the black oak. If you look at one of these leaves, it's similar to a valley oak in that it's deeply lobed like a valley oak, but it's got these little sharp points out on the end. They're very distinctive. Absolute telltale sign that this is a black oak. And the black oaks here compete very, very well with the ponderosa pines and the incense cedars because the black oak is a very, very tall oak. It is the tallest oak in California. And you can feel us getting deeper into the woods. Isn't it lovely?
A little bit cooler. One of the things I love about being at Empire Mines is that it's always shady here. So even in the summertime, if you're looking for a place for a hike or run, you have a lot of shade on the trails, so you can keep yourself cool while you're out in the woods. What's this guy?
This is one of my favorite trees out here. This is a madrone, and I'm very pleased that Empire Mine is making a concerted effort to save all of its madrones because they have become increasingly rare. Very nice tree. They're not an overstory, an upper canopy tree. They're a lower story tree, but they do well down here in the shade. Over here, these are baby incense cedars that form a lot of the understory here, along with baby pines and oaks. And you can see, if you look carefully, I'm going to turn it on its side as well. You see how flat that is? That flatness, these kind of flat needles, are the signifier of incense cedars. See? They also smell good if you crush them up in your hand. I don't know what they are. There's a lot of these plants out here that are that have red berries on them. I think they're designed to attract pollinators to them. You see that the oaks have mostly dropped their leaves, and mostly what you find here is the black oak. There are some other oaks here. There's a California live oak. There are blue oaks here. But the black oak is the dominant in this particular piece of forest.
Compared to LOP, what's an LOP?
LOP has a lot of blue oaks in it, but also has its share of black oaks and plenty of live oaks as well.
Show this sign right here.
Yeah, it's a do not cut sign, and I don't know what is the significance, because it looks to me just like one of many other black oak, young black oaks, waiting for its chance to get up. And there's another one here that's another black oak here. I'm not sure why they signal those
But it's nice to see that there's forest management going on.
Oh, there's a lot of it. They do a great job here, a really, really good job.
Yes. That's a game trail.
Yeah.
What game do you see up here?
Well, there's just about everything that you see. I've not seen a coyote myself, but one was seen here last year in 2019, and I have not seen any cougars up here myself, even though they do have cougars in here. Bears, on the other hand, we got your bears. Very close to here, I saw the biggest bear of my life just come walking across the trail, great big boar. He kind of went up, gave me a one quick look, and then went on like he could not care less about me. But look at that trail where Christine is going. Isn't that sensational? So I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to tell you how to get here. Okay? What you need to do, if you're going to come out here to this side, which is the Gold Hill portion of Empire Mine State Park, is get on Highway 174 between Grass Valley and Colfax and come to Silver Way. It's right adjacent to the main part of Empire Mine. Take Silver Way, take it uphill for 3 blocks, and it will dead end on Gold Hill Drive. Take a right, and in 1 block you're at that little parking place that we saw. Get out of your car and come in here and have such a good time.